The stakes could not be higher for EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland as the diplomat faces a solo public hearing on Wednesday. One America's Marty Golingan has more on what to expect.
The only thing, and I guess Sondland has stayed with his testimony, that there was no quid pro quo. Pure and simple.
U.S. Ambassador to the European Union Gordon Sondland is set to be grilled by the House Intelligence Committee this week. His testimony has been crucial during the impeachment inquiry, as he is one of only a few Trump officials who has had direct first-hand knowledge of the events in the Ukraine controversy. But Sondland's testimony will be greeted with some skepticism. The hotelier, who donated $1 million to the Trump inauguration fund, had to revise his initial closed-door deposition after first stating he did not speak to any Ukrainians about suspended U.S. military aid to the country.
What compelled you to change your testimony?
I didn't change my testimony, but I can't answer any questions.
You did not change your testimony at all?
Sondland's transcript later read he told the top aide to Ukraine's president that a White House meeting and U.S. security assistance would not be released unless President Zelensky publicly announced investigations into the Bidens and the 2016 election. He said his memory was refreshed after reading the opening statements of top Ukraine diplomat Bill Taylor and Tim Morrison, the senior director for Russia and Europe on the National Security Council.
President Zelensky was very mindful of that. That's really one of the things he ran on. And we're very confident that he takes these changes seriously. He's going to implement them in record time, and the U.S. is going to be right there with him, supporting him.
Sondland's appearance comes as newly uncovered emails show the U.S. ambassador updated Trump administration officials on the Ukraine corruption campaign ahead of the infamous July 25th phone call between the two presidents. In communications obtained by the Wall Street Journal, Sondland regularly informed Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney and Energy Secretary Rick Perry of efforts to get Ukraine to open investigations into the Bidens in 2016. Days before the July 25th call, Sondland emailed Perry and Mulvaney saying President Zelensky was ready to commit to President Trump that he would open the investigations. Mulvaney replied saying he would set up the call through the National Security Council. Last Friday, David Holmes testified behind closed doors that in a Ukraine restaurant the day after the call, he heard Sondland telling the president in a loud phone conversation that Ukraine will move forward to investigate the Bidens, since Zelensky would do, quote, anything you ask him to do.
Had a great lunch with my team, but before that I had a wonderful hour-long meeting with President Zelensky. That followed on the heels of his telephone call yesterday with President Trump.
Holmes said under oath he then asked Sondland if the president really cared about Ukraine, to which Sondland replied the president only cares about, quote, big stuff like the Biden investigations Rudy Giuliani was pushing. President Trump denied he ever held this conversation with Sondland after the July 25th call.
I know nothing about that. First time I've heard it. The one thing I've seen that Sondland said was that he did speak to me for a brief moment, and I said no quid pro quo under any circumstances, and that's true. The other, I'd never heard this. In any event, it's more second-hand information, but I've never heard it.
Democrats believe they have an opportunity to put Sondland on the spot due to his direct link to President Trump after the witnesses who have testified so far have only spoken to second- and third-hand accounts. Sondland did, however, repeatedly say he could not recall certain events which led to his revised testimony the first time around. Republicans are reportedly unsure of what Sondland is going to say and how he will say it. GOP members also want answers as to why he needed to update his closed-door deposition. Gordon Sondland will speak publicly to Congress on Wednesday. Marty Golingan, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.